Politics Done Right is going to be doing a whole lot of new things in 2019. And 2019 means having intersectionality with a whole lot of other people, a whole lot of other shows. Not only that, but bringing our own shows, our own new shows into the fold. Not necessarily just Politics Done Right, but other folks that want to have shows and use our mediums to promote it. That is what we intend to do in 2019 going forward. We want to ensure that the progressive space is populated by a whole lot of folk of all kinds, of all types, bringing their own ideas, bringing their own ideologies into the fold. Because I tell you what, only when everybody feels free, only when everybody knows that whatever they have to say matters, that whatever they want to do, they can, that they will be respected irrespective of their views, are we as a nation going to move forward? And in that light, the first person starting our 2019 is a good friend of mine. I shouldn't say a good friend of mine, somebody that I have listened to for quite a while, somebody that I get a text message from every morning with a positive affirmation.
Yes.
I want to introduce Sedrick. Sedrick.
Yes.
Well, give us your whole name.
You know, Sedrick Keeler, and everybody just calls me SED or Sed, and you know, I get the opportunity to be a part of a family that you are also one of, I would say, the major contributors. You know, you would be like the great uncle. You know,
you're making me feel old.
No, just in wisdom and knowledge and understanding. You know, so we're part of the KPFT family, and really the Pacifica Foundation, which stretches all across the country. And that's why this particular program is so important, because not only are we addressing the local issues and the state issues, but we're talking about the federal and the national and even the international issues that which you mentioned quite cogently in your book, as I see it. And people need to definitely check that out and discuss that.
Well, thank you for the plug, sir.
Absolutely, you know, but you know, we support each other, as you know said to me a few minutes ago, and I think it's so important that we have apparatuses like this that are talking about the things that are not being discussed on corporate media. And some would say it's disgusting. I would say it's by design, and that's why we have shows like Politics Done Right and the Conscious Mindset.
And tell us a little bit about the Conscious Mindset first of all, because Sedrick is one of the leaders at KPFT, and he has a program called the Conscious Mindset. And I want you to talk a little bit about that, because I tune into that, and in fact, I called in a couple of times and created a bit of a ruckus when I called you guys. So why don't you tell us a little bit about your show?
Yeah, definitely was a ruckus. It was a good one though, and I think you were being Mr. Willies, and that's what we know you as, is somebody who's going to speak things that need to be spoken and say it in a way that's very salient and very apropos. So the thing that you were mentioning was talking about women's submission, and many of the folk on the Conscious Mindset come from one particular perspective, and we had a doctor, Dr. Alana. I call her Dr. Trauma because she definitely brings the pain when she speaks, and she's here to heal. But she was talking about how women need the right and the ability to be able to be free, to express themselves, and not to be controlled in any form of relationship, whether it be intimate or platonic. And she was talking about that they need to have a sense of equanimity and equality. And I want to compliment you, because I was, in the seat of the host. As a host, you try to be, as objective as you possibly can be, and all of those kinds of things. So I was just trying to ask questions and try to get in where I could fit in. And Mr. Willies called and said, "Hey, I'm saying, I have a daughter, and and you were going in with the fire and the fervor." You said, "I completely agree with what Dr. A is saying, and I want to commend you for doing that." Because we do need to hear men say that our women are very important, and they need to be valued in whatever capacity that
they are equal.
Yes, very important to say that as well. And that's not a weakening of men, right? That's not a weakening of our position. I think it's really a strengthening of the family and the relationships that exist. So that's what we strive to do on a Conscious Mindset, is offer a potpourri of ideas, and also to challenge some old-fashioned ideas or some old mores and things that we've grown accustomed to hopefully enlighten ourselves and to elevate our understanding. And what we like to say, our moniker, and I'll close with this, is building better minds every show, each time. So.
Well, and that is our aim. Now, what I want to talk about is first of all, today I don't want to go into specific topics. I want
Okay.
to go into how we are going to work together to start being the messengers of truth. You mentioned
that's
something
powerful.
earlier when you came in. You called me up before you got here and you said, "Hey, have you heard about what's going on with the criminal justice bill?" And the truth is, it's not my forte. It wasn't
Right.
something that I was following. But it is. I do know about the how the private sector is attempting to privatize the jail system and all
Yeah.
of that. You said a very important statement when you called. You said, "Egberto, these are the things that are in the bill. It's been on CNN. It's been on MSNBC, all these other channels. Did you hear them mention specifically that the bill was going to have halfway houses controlled by the same people who own prisons, controlled by the same people who are trying to privatize all the prisons? Did you know they were supported?" And I'm like, "No." And CNN didn't mention that either. MSNBC didn't. You, with that statement, told me why what we are doing is so important, what we intend to do in 2019 and beyond by having these shows that expand on what these other these programs are not doing many times, because the same advertisers that they have are the ones that they would have to speak up against.
That's right. You started it off just right on time and very poignant with where we are in 2018. When we look at the prison private industry is a $4.8 billion dollar industry, according to statistics that have been released about just 1 year. And when we look at the major prison entity, CCA, making $2 billion a year, right? And more soon to be with this new First Act bill. And as you said, we're not going to go into the, intricacies this time. We're going to, give you some time to, marinate in what we're going to say today and talk about intersectionality, which is so important. And you mentioned that a few minutes ago prior to us beginning this first episode. And this is major. I'm telling you, this is history. It is important of, encapsulating this time and season of the acrimony, of the division, of the divisiveness, and not only in the political realm, but even in the media, how, you can turn on Fox and you can hear the same exact story told from a completely different perspective, right?
Yes.
And you can see it on MSNBC, and you can see it in the same story told from a completely different perspective and vantage point. And the thing that I would say to them is they both share inaccuracies,
Exactly.
right? And they both share a corporate interest that is hopefully we're able to fight. But what's happening more majoritarily or more oftenly or primarily is people are being confused and deluded and deceived into thinking things are good for them when it's really follow the money. It's good for the corporate and the corporatocracy. And many would say the fascism that exists in our society today that we have to repel out and dispel. And I think we have the power courtesy of the Constitution, right? Our First Amendment right. Freedom of the press is so extremely important.
Right.
And if the press cannot be free because they're oppressed by the system that's set up by the advertisers and by big military and by all of these pharmaceutical industries that control what the reporters report, control what the editors edit, control what the journalists speak, then we're not able to get the truth of the actual things that are transpiring. While we applaud the first step, and it is very apropriately named, it is a first step, and it is going to reduce the mandatory minimums, and it is going to alleviate some of the overcrowding in prisons, and it is going to give people like Alice Johnson the opportunity to be free. She was the lady that even Kanye West and his wife Kim Kardashian stepped up and
shot the blank bullet or something like that.
Yes. And she served over 22 years in a federal penitentiary and was a model prisoner. And we applaud that. And we think that that's extremely important and necessary. But we also want to contextualize the conversation and realize and understand that what put her in that position, what policies and bad policies were created, and why were they created, and who benefited from them. And we know, based on the statistical statistical data, we know that many poor and minority communities, and even white communities, as we've seen the advent of Oxycontin and all of these prescription drugs, and even crystal meth affecting Caucasian communities at alarming rates. We've seen how that has destroyed families and has decimated the fabric of our community. So I'll get straight to the point in saying that while these things are good at addressing some very critical issues, we cannot lose sight of the corporate influence and big business profits that are generating the legislation that the lobbyists are giving to our elected officials who should have our best interests, but really they're supporting and serving the interests of the corporatocracy that is creating these programs and these bills and these acts to benefit private prisons. And we got the statistics and the facts, but we're going to get back to the fact that opportunities like this to share and disseminate this information is critical so we can expand the conversation, so we don't just talk on these same old talking points and we get on the air and we say all these oblivious things that are really bloviating something that needs to be further detailed, further analyzed, further discussed, so we find out that only 10% of the prison population is in federal prisons, right? And then of that 10%, that this act is only going to support 3% to possibly having the opportunity to have their sentences reduced. So there's a lot of things in play and in place. And as we all say, the devil's in the details. And I love the fact that you said messenger. So hopefully we can bring a message to eradicate those devils and demons.
And that is in the intent that we have right now. So here is our goal. Our goal going forward is several times a month. Sedrick will be over here. We'll have specific topics that we will discuss in detail. In other words, it's not going to be of the type that you get on CNN or whatever. We're going to make sure to expand it. We're not going to be just boring. Right. It's gonna be funny. Because,
it's got to, man. Not to cut you off, Egberto. You're a smooth dude, man. You're real cool, and I think that you're an awesome guy. But you know what I'm saying? I mean, we need some young energy, man. We need the vibe, maybe have some music or something, because people have to realize the news is fun, man.
You know something? I know my what is the word? I know my problems. I know my shortcomings. I have no problem in addressing them, and that's why I came to look for you as one of the people to join, because I tell you what, this guy, I when I go out there, and I've been on his program about 2 or 3 times, and I've called into his program, and I love his energy. People say, hey, politics and right, we have a lot of energy, but I need some of the younger guys out there who know how to address as well, and there's nobody like Sedrick who knows the stuff as well.
Hey, man, I appreciate you, man. We're just going to continue to give you news you can use, flavor you can savor, so you need to tell a neighbor. Because
that's what I'm talking about, folks.
It's going down. I'm telling, and the thing, I'm happy you said that, because it's like, they try to make it like, the only thing that fun is talking about sports. So the only thing that's fun is talking about, all these different things that are going on in pop culture. And don't get me wrong, we update to date on that too. But at the same time, there's some really critical things that affect all of our lives, right? Yeah. You know what I mean? That are important, and we need to be able to discuss those things.
If these folks are out there at a club partying or whatever, they also need to know some of this stuff, so that when something happened at the club, they know that, well, no, you don't have the right to do that to be Mr. Cop.
Right. And then, at the same time, you can pull ladies with this. Hey, did you know about the first act? You know what I'm saying? So, because women like to learn, you know what I'm saying? You know what I mean? And so, it puts us in a different paradigm,
right?
In a different situation. And as we all know, we're in the information age, right? Right. We're in a time and season where we can all, get on Google, we can all Wikipedia, we can all see this information. So why won't we know, right? Why won't we go out and get that information? And guess what we do? We provide you programming to where you can get that information quickly in an exciting way and fun. You know what I'm saying? You get to look at two smooth looking brothers at the same time. So you're winning, you know what I'm saying?
I kind of like that.
Hey, man, you win it, man. You know what I'm saying? So, and in this time of season, especially, we have to not only take the age of information, and I like to call it the age of activation and engagement. So, we're taking this information. So, because people always say, what's the solution? What are we going to do? Now that we know, what do we do? What do we do? What do we do, right?
And that is what we're going to have. We're not going to only talk and talk and talk. We're going to say, hey, you got to go do that. We're going to be working with some other groups, some activist group for the political sphere. And of course, we're going to, again, we are going to address, we're going to come to wherever you are at. That's what we are going to do. And not only that, as we always tell you, politics done right, and I'm sure it is with the
Conscious mindset, yeah.
conscious mindset as well. We want to hear from you. Not only do we want to hear from you, a lot of directions we take from you.
That's powerful. And I just wanted to say this. I want to compliment you on air. And, I know how humble and, selfless you are. And to do this work, because people don't understand. A lot of times, they see it and they see it on Facebook, they see it on Instagram, they see it on, KPFT, they see it on these different apparatuses, and they don't see the work that goes into these particular shows. They don't see the sacrifice. They don't see the fact that, these major entities, they have a fiduciary interest in expressing the things that they express, right? That they're getting big checks to say the things that they say. So on some levels, I understand why they're doing it, but to do what you have been doing, what you have committed to do politics right, it takes not only a commitment and an integrity, it takes some insanity, good brother. You know what I mean? It really does. I mean, I know you're insane. You have to be, because to go against all of the forces that we're fighting against, to do quality programming, to give you information and resources, and to have a works cited and bibliography so you can check up and link to and find out even more information. That is a credit to not only humanity, but it's a credit to the humanity you possess for being one of the vestiges of that in this time of season. So I just want to say thank you, and thank you for doing everything that you're doing, because it is making a difference.
First of all, thank you for the kudos, but I want to add to that. It's not me. It is always going to be us. It is always going to be we. The fact that you took your Saturday to come out here, to drive all the way out to Kingwood, to be a part of this, and that you're going to be a part of this going forward. This is all about us. This is all about we doing what we need to do, not just for us, not just for our children, but what we know is right.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
That's what it's all about. Yes. So in closing, I want you to tell our audience a little bit about you.
Oh, that's great, man. I'm just a humble servant, and I firmly believe in the power we possess. We are in a place that gives opportunities to those who are willing to work and who are willing to fight against, the difficulties that do exist, but will continue to persist. And I want to resist to just go in about myself, but
I want it to be about you.
Yeah, but I will say this: I'm blessed to be a part of an amazing family of freedom fighters, and my father and my mother have always stood up for what was right and instilled that in I and my sister. And I believe that, I'm just continuing to carry on the work. I work in education, and that's a gift and a real blessing to me. And it has provided me not only, the monetary wherewithal to survive, but there's a gift that you can't put a price on, and that's love. To know that you're touching the next generation in a way in which they feel stronger, they feel better, they feel more enlightened. I just had a student come to me a couple days ago and say, I don't know how to thank you. And I said, the way to thank me is just by the way that you're living, doing the things that you're doing, and continuing to inspire others. So, I'm inspired to be here at this present time, and I'm also engaged in conversations like this. I strive to do it everywhere I go. I'm even seeing the phone right now, as folk, want to, have this conversation. So I'm really inspired because I've been doing this for a while. I know some people would say, oh, man, you sound too young, you look too young or whatever. But I'm like, nah, man, it's just makeup. But, what I'm saying, I think that at the end of the day, the best way to surmise myself is to say that I'm committed to the people. And I feel like the power is in the hands of the people if they get the information necessary to become a unified people and to become a purposeful people, which I know that we have the history to prove that we are capable of doing that, and we will do that. And programs like this are getting it done. So, I definitely want people to check out the Facebook page. We put out a lot of information. It's my name, Sedrick, Keeler. And, we also are doing some amazing things in the community in terms of just elevating the consciousness and also, showing that love and giving those great things that I was given. I'll close with this. My grandmother, she's still living. So, no doubt it's a beautiful thing. And I think we're trying to get her to stay here a little bit longer. So we definitely need her to eat more vegetables and drink more water, as you as well, right? But I'll say something that she would always tell me. She'd always say, Sedrick, do what's right. And I feel like for the first time in my life, I'm doing that, and I'm really humbled to be a part of politics done right. So it's I'm fulfilling my grandmother's wishes by being here. So I appreciate it, and it really is a blessing and a privilege. And I just hope and pray that I continue to do what it is that my grandmother asked me to do.
Well, Sedrick, it's my honor to have you here, and you talk about inspiring. You inspire me, so man, thank you so kindly, brother.
I appreciate you.
Well, folks, let me tell you, this is the end of this episode with Sedrick Keeler on Politics Done Right. We'll have a whole lot more of this, and we are going to be bringing in people that are not only inspiring, but people that are going to make a difference in our society, absolutely, people that are going to make a difference and help us all get this progressive mantra on the move. Thank you so kindly for listening. Politics Done Right. We are out.